Welcome to Following Funnel Force. I'm Brent Stone, and you know what? We're going to be talking about some really cool stuff today. We're on the Sell More series. I got Glenn Martin here with me, my business partner,
What's up,
and
guys? We're back.
we're back, and it's going to be good. So we've got some things just to kind of dive right on into it. What is the matter with people who waste time in sales? Well, let's just jump into it. So why don't people look at time as currency? I don't know. Because time is literally more valuable than a yes. Because if you control and manage your time efficiently, you can have more time to build your skills, stay sharp, also simultaneously bringing in more leads. If you don't manage your time, you can find yourself handling problems. The issue here is that if you manage too many problems, your leads dry up and you got to start from scratch, pumping the pump and start, creating a new pipeline. And a lot of people hear me on that, know exactly what I'm talking about. Some people that might be new to the space or new to just trying to run a small business. And in the beginning, you understand very quickly, you have to do both. You have to do both at the same time. And we're going to talk about that today. So it's going to be fun. Glenn, you want to kick off with anything specific, story or anything at all?
Yeah, you asked the question, why do people waste time in sales? Well, I think
Yeah.
the overarching factor that would kind of cover every scenario outside of like your savvy, really good salespeople probably don't, but new salespeople, I think the reason they waste time, they're scared to make an introduction, they're scared to make an interruption, and so they waste time so that they don't have to get in front of people. Sounds completely ridiculous, but it's not that they don't want to earn money, but they're terrified to make a cold call, so they'll open Instagram, they'll distract themselves, or they will organize their leads, or they'll do all these different things. I think that is like a large portion of why people waste time. But you know, the value of it, you already mentioned it. It's this is huge. So let me just preface it before we dive into kind of the next portion of it. If you are scared in sales to kind of make that first introduction, here's what I can tell you. If you want to just, I'll give you a really quick tip right in the beginning, and then you're going to gain some super valuable stuff. If you're scared to make a contact in your sales career and you're out knocking on doors or you're sitting at your desk making cold calls, I think one of the biggest things, if you're out, just walk into some random location and say hi to the first people that you see. Just say hi. Just get into the rhythm of saying hi. It doesn't even matter if they're not people that you would sell to. Just say good morning, say hi, and start having that interaction. Then go and talk to somebody about your business or your product. It's going to loosen you up. So that's a really quick tip. And Brent, why don't you dive into some of the time suckers that people have in front of them, whether that, well, you dive into some of those different things, because I believe there's our computers and our phones, there's aspects there that literally suck us in, and it's like this big black hole that we don't know how to get out of.
Well, yeah, totally. I like what you said about fear, because fear will turn almost anything into a time waster.
Yep.
Anything excluding talking to potential clients. Like if someone's afraid, and here's the thing: when we say afraid or fearful or whatnot, this is a subconscious thing that new salespeople deal with because they're just not managing their time. If you start off in the morning, literally like you just tag home base, and then you don't like wait around the office and drink 4 cups of coffee and talk to your coworkers. If you just tag home base, check in, check out, go start getting in front of people, you're still like getting running in the morning and turning your brain on. You can start talking to people before you can kind of like beat the fear, so to speak. Because once
Yep.
you talk to like one person, 2 people, that's why Glenn, I mean, I think that's why Glenn said what he said, because it's really good
Yeah.
advice. If you can just talk to people, then the fear goes away, because it's not real anyway. It's just literally just preventing you. It's just resistance preventing you from moving forward and realizing that you just got to talk to like 5-10 people, and that'll take you an hour and a half. And if you have like 2 or 3 really good conversations, maybe it takes you 2 hours because you get caught up, talking with somebody. But this is not a hard concept. Now, time suckers. Here's one of the biggest ones that we see today. That would be your cell phone with your social media applications, not using them for business. And here's the thing, unless you're super human, if you open an app, even for business, whether if it's a social media type of app, there is a 90+% chance that you are going to waste time on that app. I don't care who you are. And it's not because you're not disciplined. It's because you've got certain priorities in your life. And for all of you that are like, well, like family's my priority, so I'm going to make money for my family so I don't get distracted on social media. Well, except when you log into social media and you're a salesperson sitting in the parking lot of a potential client and you see your wife post a post about your kids. Then all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, you're like, after you heart the picture and you comment 4 times and you're thanking people for saying your kids are cute, you love your family and they're at the top of your priority list. So you pay attention to those things. So there's stuff like that literally you don't even think is possible for you to get baited into, but that's what happens. And then so the next big time killer out there that steals time from you, a little sneaky little devil, it's the email box. Because email is this double-edged sword. And see, in the email box, your inbox, you have clients emailing you, and it's important to take care of clients, right? Of course it is. The issue is that clients don't understand how your business flow works in your office for getting ads out, updating copy, updating screenplay, updating whatever's going on for your advertisements. Or let's say you've got some type of social media campaign you're running for them, or lead generation, or whatever the case is. It might not matter if you address that issue at 7 a.m. versus 10 a.m. It might not matter. I'm just throwing that out there. It might matter. But typically, if you're getting an email at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., it probably doesn't matter until 10 a.m. If you get an email 5 p.m. the previous day, or 4 p.m. or 3 p.m., that might be something you want to take a look at first thing. And that's a big might, because again, your client doesn't know how your office flow works. And you might have some of your back end people not even turning their computer on until 10 a.m., 11 a.m. So it might not even get fixed until then anyway. You still have to make your calls, your cold calls, because it keeps you sharp. It keeps you focused on what it is that you're trying to sell. That makes you a better resource for your clients anyway. I'm going to say that part again. If you're going to be a better resource to your clients, you have to know what you're talking about all the time. And as you sell and you're talking about what you sell, you become more knowledgeable because it reinforces your product and it's what it can do and all the other things. And then you can be more confident with your existing clients. They like you more if you're more confident, because it gives them a sense of security and makes them want to buy more from you. If they feel secure when you're talking, that means that they like you more. It's a subconscious thing. Don't believe me? Just read like any sales psychology book that's ever been published, and it'll tell you something similar in that book. So with that being said, sorry, Glenn, just get a little tangent right there. Just kind of jumped right into it. But those are some time suckers for people that I think that people just totally, they can justify 1,000 different ways. And here's the thing. I'm not perfect. When I was new in sales, I had the justification thing down. Like, number one, I don't like being managed. Don't believe me? Go talk to my old boss. She is awesome. She'll tell you all of the funny things about me and weird time wasting things that I did. I still sold and I still did good, but like, I had to knock my head up against the wall for the first couple months trying to figure this stuff out. And anyway, I want to flip it back over to Glenn because he's got a lot of good stuff to share too. But I'm just like, don't mess yourself up. Control your time in the morning, because it gives you the best possible chance of having a great rest of your day. You can't control things that happen to you. You can only control your time and your attitude. So you might as well fortify your day with the things that you can control. Back to you.
It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned social media and you mentioned email. I think one of the biggest aspects you mentioned literally at the end about your attitude. The issue is most of us aren't that smart. we have all of our emails in one app on our phone. And so when we log into our work email, we unfortunately see all of our non-important emails like, hey, they're running a sale over at wherever. That doesn't matter. But now your
Your
brain's
favorite store.
distracted. Exactly. Like you're just like, oh man, I didn't even want that, but now I do. And now I'm thinking about it and I'm distracted because I got to call my wife and I spend 45 minutes on the phone with her because now that I'm on the phone, she has this to ask me. Are those things not important? Should I? No. It's just those aren't time earning tasks. And if you're a salesperson, your time needs to be focused on income. I'm sorry, I meant income earning tasks. It needs to be focused on income earning tasks like actually talking to people. And, just that mental clutter is just a very real thing. And you open your social media and all of a sudden you realize that your favorite celebrity who you've never met, he's never paid any of your bills and he's never done any of this thing. He's got an injury, or worse yet, he passed away. And now your mind is all whacked out, even though he's not paying your bills, even if he passed away. And so your mental game is super screwed up. And now your whole day has gotten thrown off from someone that doesn't even know you, never even met you, really doesn't even care about you. You know what? There's a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's a very real thing. And this mental clutter is way more relevant in today's world than ever before. Just we've got more social media apps. We all have more than our share of emails that we shouldn't probably have, and all these different things that just clutter us. And so being very conscious of these things. See, success, we hear this all the time. Success is not it is a planned event. Success doesn't happen by accident. So if it's a planned event, a lot of that is discipline. And it's not just discipline of getting up and doing 100 push-ups and running 2 miles. That could be a portion of it. But I know some very unfit people, not saying you should be unfit, by the way, but I know some people that are very unfit, but they're very disciplined with the time they use the phone, the time they talk to people, and they actually create a lot of income. Now, that's a whole different topic because I do think your fitness and your income can correlate, but we'll get into that in maybe a different episode.
It's awesome. Here's where we're going to go next. So there's this thing called the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule. Okay. So I believe that this applies to like every facet of pretty much almost everything. But let me explain. 20% of your income and sales will come, 80% of your income and sales will come from 20% of your clients. 20% of the effort that you put into your day, 20% of the tasks you do produce 80% of your income. If you're going out to talk to, basically bring on recruits, like if you're a small business and you're going to recruit staff members, people for your business, you're going to hire people. 20% of your applicants are going to be worth hiring. Out of the ones you hire, 20% of those are going to be worth keeping long-term, 10 years and investing in. It keeps going and going and going and going. So I'll kill the examples, but basically here's what I can tell you. The tasks, I'm going to link this to emotional energy. 20% of your tasks produce 80% of your income. That doesn't mean that the other 80% of your tasks are unimportant, but a lot of time, the 80% of tasks that don't indirectly impact your income drain you emotionally, like checking email. Like literally you go through your inbox, and when you've got like, let's say you've got an issue that's not like a bad thing, but like you've got a client that's like, hey, this needs to be this, and you know what has to happen in order to make this a reality. And it's like, I've already told Bob we can't do that. And then you're thinking about how you can help Bob understand that that's not a service we really offer. And for us to offer it, we're going to pay more fulfilling the whole thing than he's willing to pay for it. Now we can do it, but it's going to cost actually twice what Bob's willing to pay for it. and it'll give the result, but it's still going to cost twice what Bob's willing to pay for it. Therefore, we do not offer that service. Like it's just at least for Bob right now. And now if Tom comes along and Tom's like, hey, I'll pay you $100,000 to do this, and our fulfillment in it is like less than $100,000, and we have a good enough margin in there where we can justify paying the staff to, our all of our other bills and all the other things, and we can make a little bit of money on it and not waste our time. Okay, we've got something to talk about. Maybe I got to make sure that there's more orders coming in like Tom, because otherwise we just wasted money if we can't have more people fulfilling it. Anyway, so you get the idea if you're a small business owner. Now back to sales. So if you've got tasks that drain you emotionally, like checking email, that should probably be done later on in the day for a couple of reasons. But for some of the reasons that we haven't already talked about, you get emotionally charged in a good way, even if you're an introvert. If you work sales, because here's the thing, I'm not really a true extrovert. I forced myself to be so when I was 18 years old, when I started network marketing, to be successful in network marketing. I was scared to death to talk to people I didn't know. I got over that because I forced myself for years to do it. Now, if I had my pick, I would just not do that anymore. I hardly do a lot of that stuff anymore, to be quite honest. Now, what I do still is I will network. I will still talk to people I don't know, but it's for the purpose of like growing business in a different way. I'm not trying to sell a concept or a product per se, even though I do some of that now for Funnel Force and a lot of my other businesses. I don't even do that. So the whole idea is to get really good at it, so then you can teach it and scale yourself out of doing it. Okay. You're never going to be able to do that unless you get comfortable with it first. And so you're going to have to figure out how to do that. Give yourself the best chance to basically take the emotional edge off and do it first thing in the morning before your brain is totally aware of all the possibilities of why somebody wouldn't want to talk to you. If you do this at 6:30 in the morning, like what Glenn said about just saying hi to people as you're getting coffee on your way into the office, or 7 or 7:30 or whatever the time is. When I did work in my previous sales role in advertising, I would go to the gym at 5:30 in the morning, and I would get done at 6:30. And I would sometimes, if I needed gas, I'd get gas on the way to the office, and I'd probably bump into 1 or 2 people at a gas pump. Saying hello and being a friendly human isn't weird. Despite what people tell you, it's not a weird thing. I mean, I know during COVID, everyone got scared to talk to people, but like, hey, it's not a weird thing. We're human beings. We're relational creatures. If you're walking down the street and you make eye contact with somebody, you feel bad inside to some degree if you don't smile at them at least. You probably feel worse about yourself. I mean, this is not like a Tony Robbins talk, even though I think Tony Robbins is great, but this is not a Tony Robbins talk. But here's the thing. Gosh, this is a really good tangent. If you are mean to people on purpose, you feel worse about yourself. Okay, this is not a Tony Robbins. But people should get this stuff, because if you're in sales and you're going to have to talk to people anyway, you need to do things that charge you up emotionally. And this is the small percentage of tasks that allow you to make more income.
Yep.
Period. So if you don't charge yourself up emotionally and like pep yourself up doing specific tactical things early in the morning, you'll get to 10 a.m. after you get done drooling over your inbox, and you're just like, you feel like you've been beaten up, beaten down. Like you're just like, oh gosh, now I just saw the new coupon for the latest like Lululemon and Armani gear, and I want a Gucci backpack, and Bob is still yelling at me, asking me to do this service that doesn't make us any money, and it's going to cost me more money than like literally. You're not going to want to go out and talk to people. In fact, you're at a disadvantage because you're not excited about talking to people. So therefore, you're going to make less money. I mean, you go try to cold call at 1 p.m. in the afternoon after you haven't done it at all that day. You're going to make less money because you're not as excited to talk to people. You're not going to be able to command their attention if you're not enthusiastic. There's just a lot riding against you, because now instead of being able to like do your self-talk of like, hey, I need to say these things, and then back off and give them a chance to answer. You can't like role play on the way after you've been beaten to death at the office before going out into the field. Like, you can, and you can force yourself to do it. And in fact, sometimes you have to. Like, okay, here's the flip side of the coin. You're going to have days that don't go the way you plan. Just stack the deck in your favor and control the time in the morning the best you possibly can. All right. I'm going to flip it back to you, Glenn.
There's not a lot more to say. I mean, when you control the time that you can, I mean, that's just good skills to handle in your life. I mean, if you just leave your life up to chance, I mean, why do you see some people where it's like every time you get around them, there's some crazy new drama that happened that it's like it's like they're in their basement literally spinning plates and they're like, easy life drama. Oh, let me take this one. And you're like, oh, how? And what the difference is they're not controlling the things that they can control. And so everything that comes up, it just throws a wrench into gears and it's like more drama. Whereas if they were to look at your life, if you have figured some of these things out and you've learned how to control your time and manage the things that you can actually manage, you might have 10 scenarios that could potentially even be worse than theirs. But because you've controlled it, you show up, you shake their hand, you're super positive, and they're like, oh man, that guy's always happy. Nothing ever goes wrong for him. And, I'm not trying to put a plug in for myself, but I actually had a friend a while back. We were talking and him and I hadn't caught up for years. And he's like, dude, your life is always just everything goes well for you. And, it seems like everything is good. And I'm literally thinking like there's multiple scenarios right now that are not good, but it wasn't relevant to him. So I don't need to go and tell him all the things in my life that aren't good because it doesn't matter to him. And I was like, here's what you don't understand. And I kind of shared just because we have been friends. I was like, I could talk to you about this, or this, I forget how many scenarios it was. And I was like, my life is not perfect, but it's what you choose to focus on. And some of you choose to focus on those things versus managing, because this whole episode is about time management. So don't forget where we started. Managing your time so that you can manage your attitude, so that then you can show up for your prospects and for your clients in the way that you need to. That takes care of so many things, because otherwise I believe there is an epidemic in the world today, and it is people are addicted to being broke and people are addicted to wasting their time. You don't have to agree with me. That's my opinion, obviously, but that's what I believe. It's like, well, I could do this, but man, it feels so good when I scroll social media and I hit that like button, 15 times. It makes my brain feel so
to
good.
dopamine. They get
Exactly.
a dopamine rush every time they hit the Facebook app or the Instagram app or whatever app.
Exactly. And so if that is your go-to, don't be mad when you look at your bank account at the end of the month and you're like, you know what? This isn't great. Well, it's easy to change. Well, let me say it's simple to change. Sometimes it's not easy switching some of those things, but it's very simple. Start controlling and managing what you do in the mornings. Start disciplining yourself on the time that you spend in your email around people that destroy your attitude and all these different aspects. You might think this sounds hokey if you're brand new in sales. 6 months from now, you won't. Guaranteed.
Oh,
if
yeah.
if you care about being really good and selling, and if your personality is, man, I'm not an enthusiastic person, you're going to have to figure out how to be an enthusiastic person while you're talking to people. You don't need to have your personality that you typically run through life with. And if your excited face is just like, yo, I'm excited, you might need to turn that excitement up a little bit, figure out how to do that when you're out. Is that exhausting? Sure, probably is for you. Do it. And then when you come home, you can go back to your excited, resting face that no one else can tell that you're excited about. Personality will sell. Turn that up, manage your time, and you will be so excited about where your sales career will take you, for sure.
It's awesome. All right. In closing, I'm going to mention this tip. So if you are looking for a way that you can have a personal assistant without paying for a personal assistant, You're welcome before I even tell you. So go to your calendar app. If you've got an Apple iCalendar, if you use the Google Calendar, whatever calendar you use, or if you use some type of CRM software like Proforce or whatever you use, go in, time block, and have your software on your device help you manage your day. You go plan that out Sunday evening for your whole week, and you'll start having less and less issues with controlling your time. You're controlling your time so that your time can control you, or your calendar can control you. You control your calendar so your calendar controls you. Glenn mentioned that on a previous episode. I think it's the last podcast episode, actually. I really like that. So that's an actionable tip from Glenn that I'm just reiterating. And it is something that you can basically do before you scale up to the point where you have a personal assistant, because basically your personal assistant's going to do that exact same thing. You're just going to start telling that person what you need from them and when. That's the difference. You're going to do that
Yep.
on Sunday evening, programming your phone. And then until you're ready to have a personal assistant, you're welcome. Hey, with that, thank you for following Funnel Force. Hope you got some really good value today. Y'all take care.
Thank you, guys.